Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I hope all of you would be doing well. As we have started the third element of parts of speech, and that is verb in our today's class. As far as the content of verbs is too huge to count, and types of verbs are also so enormous, so we just have splitted our today's class into different types and into different categories. In our first class we are going to study these elements only, and in our next class we will go with these types of verbs. So just to start with the three basic kinds of verbs. Do you know that the verbs have only three basic kinds, and these are action verbs and linking verbs and helping verbs. Action verbs have further been subdivided into two categories, and these are transitive and intransitive verbs. Linking verbs are only one in their own form, and helping verbs are further divided into two types, and these are auxiliary verbs and modal verbs. So just to start with the first concept of verb, that what is a verb? Verb is a word which shows an action, state or an event. All of those words which express the action or happening of the task, these would be categorized as a verb. Verb in an English sentence acts like a backbone of a sentence. A sentence would not be complete if you are not adding a verb in it. Verbs tell us about the performing or performed action of a subject. If there is a subject in a sentence, then what kind of performance that a subject is doing would be addressed by a verb. Here in an example, you can see that Marina sings. Marina is singing a beautiful song. Marina sang a beautiful song in an event. So all of these three are the different forms of verbs that have been used in a different context to give an understanding about the performance of a task by a subject. Next is action or main verb. The very first category of the verb is action verb. As the name is suggesting that these verbs would be expressing an action or possession of something. If you are expressing an action with the use of word, that would be a verb, action verb. Action verbs are also known as main verbs and dynamic verbs, as these are used to express physical action of something that a person, animal or thing does. For example, the lion roars. So what is an action that is being performed by lion? It is an action of roaring. Stars twinkle. Ali eats a burger. So this eat and twinkle and roar, these are the actions, these are being addressed by the subjects. Next is transitive verbs. Transitive verb is a type of action or main verb. Transitive verbs need direct object to give complete meaning of a sentence. If you want to give a complete meaning to your sentence, then this action verb or transitive verb would be helping you a lot. A transitive verb has a noun called the direct object that receives an action of the verb. A sentence would not be complete if you would not add a direct object after the verb in your sentence to give a complete meaning. Let's clear it with an example. For instance, if you say that my mother bought what? The sentence is incomplete over here. You have to add an object after the verb which would be receiving its action, like my mother bought two paintings. Now the sentence is complete in its meaning. If you say that Sally hates potatoes, and if you say Sally hates what she hates, it is incomplete. So this hates is a verb over here in this sentence which need a receiver or direct object to give the complete meaning of a sentence. So transitive verbs are those which need a direct object to receive an action of the verb. Intransitive verbs, on the contrary, are those verbs which do not need direct object to give a meaningful sentence. Intransitive verbs can stand alone in a sentence, and they could give you a complete meaning without having a direct object. For instance, if you say stars twinkle, so it is complete. This twinkle is a verb which does not need any object, direct object to give its complete meaning. So if you say children slept before adults, so again here this children slept. This is complete. Before adults is another prepositional phrase which we have added over here to give a complete and elaborated meaning to a sentence. A terrified cat hid under the table. A terrified cat hid. So this is complete, that the cat who is terrified has hidden itself. So this under the table is again a prepositional phrase which you have just added to give a complete response to the subject. So these are all intransitive verbs which do not need direct object. Next is here linking verbs. As the name is giving us an idea or concept that these are the words which link subject to a verb to give, or a sentence to a noun that describes the subject. So these are the linking verbs which connect subject and the rest of other sentence together to give a complete meaning. If a sentence has linking verb, then later used noun or adjective are known as subject complement, because this would be just acting as a complement to the subject to give a complete meaning. And without subject complement, the sentence would not give complete meaning. Complement has the literal meaning, that is something really very necessary. Some most common linking verbs are to be. It could be in the different forms like is, am, are, was, were, and to become, to seem, to appear, to feel. There is a huge list of linking verbs which you can have. Have an example over here. My friend is a very good student. So this is a linking verb which has joined my friend, which is a subject of a sentence. My friend is a very good student. If you say that my friend a very good student, so this is an incomplete sentence. So this is here is acting as a linking verb. John became an expert IT manager. John an expert IT manager, so incomplete sentence. So linking verbs are those verbs which connect the subject, which is John, to the rest of a sentence, to a noun or an adjective, or it could be any phrase to describe the subject. So these are the linking verbs. Next is here helping verbs. Helping verbs are used as a helper to combine with the help to the main verb to give a complete meaning to a sentence. There are two types of helping verbs: auxiliary verbs and modal verbs. So what are the auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs are used together with the main verb to show the verb's tense or to form a question or a negative sentence. These are the type of verbs which we most importantly and most commonly use to form a question or the negative sentence. And these are also known as the verb's tense. We could identify that what type of tense has been used in a sentence with the help of these auxiliary verbs, like be in the form of present or past, is, am, are, was, were, being or been. If it is in the past or present tense, do in the form of did or does, and have in the form of has, have, had. So all of these are auxiliary verbs which identify the verb's tense, or as well as which are used to form the question or negative sentence. If you say that Jenny is moving to a new house, so this is here auxiliary verb. Justin has taught English to his friend. So this has is again auxiliary verb that has identified the tense, that Justin has taught. The task has been done by the justice, and that task was to teach English to his friend. So the last type of today's class is modal verbs. Modal verbs are used together with the main verb to show the necessity or possibility of the task or action performed by the subject of the sentence. If you want to show the necessity or possibility of the task, like the subject or the doer of the sentence is not sure that what type of task he or she is performing or would be performed by the subject, then you have to use modal verbs. And modal verbs are must, may, might, can, could, should, would, will, ought to, and so many others. So here you may play outside. So main verb that has been used over here is play. You may play, and this possibility is shown by with the help of the word that is may. May is giving us the possibility of the action, that is play, in the sentence. You would go to the movie in the coming week. So again, we would. So this would is giving us a possibility or the performance of the task being done. So it is all about the types of verbs that we have done in the first part of the lesson. In our next class, we'll have another different types of the verbs. If you have any question relevant to this topic, you may ask. Do like, comment, share and subscribe for new videos. Thank you so much. Take care.